one of them called Grape Drink?
No, I didn't go quite that simple.
Concord Mead.
Purple drank. Well, again, say Concord. Oddly enough, that's actually what's in my glass right now. Not a session version of it, but a backyard Concord grape. So friends of mine in the next town over grew them for jelly and didn't use them all. And through a coworker of my wife's, said, "Hey, we hear you guys make wine. Do you want these grapes?" Sure, why not? And Pyment was the first thing I did with it, and I mean, each time we've done it, we've nailed the gold medal for it because for whatever reason, people just love the way the grapey grapes taste when they're wrapped up in honey.
Grapey grapes.
I mean, it's the thing is people don't like a traditional wine made from it, like a traditional red wine made from it. Maybe after a decade, it's approachable.
It's churchy wine, I mean, what they used to give us at the communion counter.
Right.
Yeah, I've made Concord wine, and I diluted it. Instead of using 18 pounds of grapes for 1 gallon, I used it for 3, and it was actually pretty good fairly quickly. But the second run that I did with the grapes afterwards, that one took about 5 years to age out to something I wanted to drink.
Yeah, and the way I end up making this sort of it's a rosé-ish kind of color. It legitimately and very simply tastes like liquid grape jelly.
Oh. Well, okay, what'd you call it?
Or
doesn't it have a name yet?
Yeah, homebrewed stuff. I end up, I don't really do good with the names. I'm actually just really kind of too beer-like. It's a Pilsner, so I call it a Pilsner. It's a Concord Great Mead,
I'm like that too.
I'm not that imaginative
yet. Yeah, I don't generally. I've got one Pyment to my name, really, just because I OD'd on Concord grapes as a kid. We had a big, long arbor, and A, we had to pick all the damn things, and B, then my mom would make grape pie, grape jelly, grape juice, grape jam, grape this, grape that, grape the other, until I was to the point where if I ate one more grape, I was going to turn into, I was going to be a Charlie in the Chocolate Factory victim. It was terrible. It was Viola
Veruca salt.
Veruca salt, thank you.
Yep, the blueberry, right?
The blueberry, yeah. And so I just kind of, I like grapes, but I only eat like green grapes or red seedless, and I don't really do. I mean, I drink some wine too from here or there, but I've never really made a pyment, just partly because of that. Well, I don't know. I had a wine. I went to this really cool winery in North Georgia, in the little alpine village in North Georgia, whose name escapes me at the moment. And they've got a winery there that does a Chamberson that is effing amazing. Oh my God, it was so good. And we went for a tasting, me and a bunch of people that were all up there for a conference. And so we all trooped down to the winery, had a taste of this, and it was like, oh my God, how much is this again? Yeah. And they were like, well, we only have 35 bottles left. I'm like, take them all. Give them all to me. I want them. And my friends are like, dude, you bitch. Yeah. And I brought them all home, and we parceled them out over 15 years. But I've always been impressed with the Chamberson grape. And so when I found out there was a local guy who grows them, I decided to go up there at the tail end of their crush so I could get the deal on grape picking. You go pick your own and you get a better deal when there's nothing but leavings. And got enough leavings to get like a gallon or so of grape juice. And more importantly, what I really wanted was the skins, And also sat there and talked to the old farmer, and that was as cool as getting the grape juice. And he squeezed them right there for me and juiced them and gave me the skins and the whole 9 yards, and a juicer, a grape squeezer that was probably older than he was. It was like probably 100 years old. But anyway, long story short, I didn't have enough grape juice, so I went down to the brew shop, picked up some Merlot juice, and thought, okay, this is either going to work or it isn't. What the hell? And threw it all together, orange blossom honey. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and look at my notes and see what I started out with the specific gravity, but it ended real sweet. I wanted it sweet. And my friends called it the sacramental wine, and this thing is high ABV. I call it Chamerlot. And because, Chamberson, Merlot grapes. Again, I'm not really imaginative with my mead names either. But it's if you like a good sweet mead, it's really good, but it's sweet. I mean, like, sweet. So I don't drink it very often, and when I do bring out a bottle, it's when I know I'm going to have half a dozen people to help me finish it, or it'll just go to waste. And it's Sorry.
The acidity in grapes is one of the things I like about making a sweeter pyment. If
Yeah.
you've got that acidity, it can hold it. Like some other fruits, you got to use a lot more. Grapes just kind of seem to have that, a bit more naturally, a bit more balanced. So I mean, that's why I end up finding that my pyments I can leave more sugar, and a year later, people are like, oh my god, this tastes really good. It's balanced. It's not. It doesn't taste like it's syrupy sweet, but you got the sugar going on, but you get that nice tart hit at the end. So.
That's exactly right. I mean, having those skins made all the difference. And so I'm a big proponent of grape skins now, when I'm making a pyment. Yeah, I mean, it was just an interesting experience though, because it was I was only enough water to get me to 5 gallons, and then I backloaded honey to get to the ABV that I wanted. Or rather, to get to the SG that I wanted.
So, we should talk a little bit more about how we make pyments.
Yes, we should.
I'm curious. So, Sergio, you want to tell us how you make yours?
Yeah. All your secrets, Sergio, now.
Right, yeah.
And your little dog, too.
Let me open the safe. Hold on.
To get these secret recipes out of there.
Gotta open the vault.
Moutela, Sergio Moutela. Likes his mead shaken, not stirred.
Well, the pyments are pretty cool. I mean, funny story is, some of like I grew up helping my grandfather make wine every year at home, and so when I was planning on opening the meadery, I was telling him how, so I'm opening a winery, and he looked all excited. He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, but I'm making wine from honey, and he gave me this confused look, and he was just looking at me, and he goes, but bees don't shit alcohol.
He said that?
Right? It sounds a lot better in Portuguese, but...
Yeah, I bet it does,
So basically, he was totally confused how you're going to get alcohol without using grapes, right? Because they're just thinking, oh, no, the alcohol comes from the grapes. And, so I explained it to him. He thought it was kind of interesting, but he thought I was kind of nuts. But, we ended up making a pyment, actually dedicated to him. Unfortunately, he never got to check out the meadery. He passed away shortly after we just got our tanks delivered at the meadery. And so we made a Portuguese Vinho Verde style mead for him. And what we did was we used orange blossom honey and Sauvignon Blanc grape juice, which are killer matchup between honey and grape varietal for a pyment. They really do complement each other with a lot of floral, citrusy notes, both of which have a decent amount of acidity. We fermented it off dry with the same yeast that they use in Portugal to make Vinho Verdes over there. And we've always had a hard time pushing dry meads at the meadery. The semi-sweet and sweet stuff always sells a lot faster than the dry stuff. And but this particular mead, I was super excited to see it sell as well as it did, because it is by far our best selling dry mead, and always in the top 3 top sellers every single week. When you think about making a pyment, you're talking about the 2 ingredients that are going to make it a pyment, honey and grape varietal. So you got to definitely take those into consideration as to what's going to go with what. You can use, for example, depending on what type of grape varietal, will probably be a good start, in my opinion. What kind of style pyment do you want? Are you going to really want to mimic that actual grape wine varietal itself? And then try to find a honey varietal that kind of complements that. So like a nice fruity Merlot, for example, that you're going to get, blackberry, black cherry, maybe a little raspberry. Maybe try using a raspberry blossom for something like that to kind of accentuate the characteristics of that Merlot. Or in my case, when we made this one, orange blossom honey and Sauvignon Blanc. I'm telling you, that's got to be my favorite pyment combination of honey and grape varietal. It's they really are amazing together. And then you just start experimenting. We have some new ones coming out. We've made 3 different pyments so far commercially, And we have some new ones coming out too. We're making another one dedicated to my grandfather, who's his name is Francisco, but everybody here in the States called him Frank. So we're making a Cabernet Franc Pyment. We're calling it To Be Frank, but B-E-E, Frank.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Nice name. I like that.
So so for that one, the Cabernet Franc, we're actually going to use this honey varietal from a beekeeper that we found that we buy some specific honey varietals from. That's basically a mix of different berry blossom honey, and it is amazing. I mean, you just close your eyes, and your nose just picks up like all the berry blossoms in that honey, even in its raw state, and still comes through after fermentation, which I was really surprised about. And so, yeah, we're going to be doing that. We have like a Chardonnay Pyment coming out that then you could also take yeast selection into consideration because, for example, if you use something like CY3079 for a Chardonnay Pyment, you're going to get certain characteristics of that from that Chardonnay yeast that you're going to get a little butteriness. One of the flavor components CY3079 actually puts out is also honey, a little pineapple. If you want to, ferment it on oak, do like kind of barrel aged Chardonnay, you have that option. You can really kind of just mimic that wine varietal and just find the honey that really complements that, and also kind of take yeast consideration into it as well. And there's a lot of different possibilities, both dry, off-dry, semi-sweet, and sweet, that you can really take it. The furthest I've gone with Pyments is I made a really great Cabernet Sauvignon with wildflower honey sweet Pyment, and then we freeze concentrated it, basically, and ended up with a 24% alcohol Cabernet Sauvignon wildflower honey Pyment that we aged on oak after it was freeze concentrated. I mean, it was killer. We're actually planning on doing that commercially. We do want to release the first 24% alcohol mead on the market. It's coming up pretty soon, actually.
So is this like, we could create a whole new category, ice mead?
Yeah.
Really?
And,
I mean,
I'm up for that.
And contrary to popular belief, it is not illegal to do at home or commercially. It is not illegal to freeze concentrate.
At home or commercially?
Well, I know it's not in Canada. I was under the impression it was illegal in the States, but maybe it depends on where.
Since when is freeze distilling not illegal commercially? I know that you can get away with it at home. I mean, more or less because they overlook it.
Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. Everybody refers to it as freeze distillation. You're not distilling anything. You're not distilling. You're concentrating.
Yeah.
So distillation is the extraction of alcohol. When you freeze something and let it defrost, you're not removing the alcohol. You're actually removing the water. You're just concentrating the liquid. So, perfect example. I have a formula approval from TTB. Well, a few actually for different versions of what we're going to do this with. That specifically state step by step exactly what we're going to do, including the freezing and defrosting of that product. You have to word it a very, very specific way for them to know that this is totally cool.
Ah, okay. We'll have to have you on one of the AMMA town hall meetings that we're planning. How to win your
freeze concentration?
Well, how to get it past, how to get it through the TTB, because there's a lot of that going on out there. Is wait, why did you kick it back again?
If you dig deep enough into the regulations, you could find out exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, I'm sure.
You'll totally blow over it. You'll totally blow over it, but it's deep within the regulations as to how that is allowed.
So speaks another researcher. We are everywhere.
Yep.
I was telling somebody how to get a trademark earlier today, and he's like, "How do you know this stuff?" I'm like, "Been there, done that. Had to research all this before." So
Yep.
Been and done it. So
been there, done that, made the T-shirt.
Yeah. Okay, so here's a question for you. What would you consider to be some of the best, especially for maybe a beginning pymenter, the best combinations of grapes and honey varieties, and to make a decent pyment without necessarily being like a super expert mead maker. Because let's face it, you guys got a lot of time under your belts. You're doing this professionally and everything. So let's talk a little bit about